Yes, here we go. Okay, so OAuth v2 token, and we're passing in the authorization of, the headers of client secret and grant type. These need to be configured differently for this because these are the client IDs and client secrets of my other machine. So I need to change all those. So let's go and do that now. So let's go to here, and it was this stuff. This is the stuff that I needed to have, and I believe that we don't use the first one. I think that's correct. So, oh no, we do. I thought we didn't, but we do. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste that into here. That's looking good. And paste that into there. That's the client ID. And then here we're going to paste the client secret into there too. So that's the secret here. Like that. Yep, good. Okay, and do we have... Yes, let's update that. Okay. So it's going to URI, and then it's going to auth, and then it's going to OAuth v2 token. So if we send that, and I think we should be taking the username and password, which is just a dummy password that I've created. And there we go. We have our token. We have our access token. Woohoo! This is working quite well. It's scarily so. But there we go. We now have our access token. Wonderful. So let's go ahead and see if we can get our JWT. Now, the JWT requires a public and private key to be generated, which I need to do. I'm going to just run it without that first and just see what happens. So to do that, we do JWT generate. These are the things I was playing with last night. So with authorization, we pass in the token that we've just got from the other API. And then we can hit send and wait for this to blow up. And we should be able to tail all of these in the logs. And you see the logs are firing around now. So let's get rid of that. We don't need that. In fact, let's just get rid of that terminal. There we go. So, okay, so auth JWT generate we've now got a 500 error. And the 500 error would be somewhere in here. So there's deprecated warnings. I need to configure this to not show deprecated warnings, just so I can see critical errors. I suppose I could just do this through grep, I guess, but somewhere in here is a critical. Error exception, user no, that's deprecation. Somewhere in here. Here we go. So this is the error that we've got. Critical uncaught exception, PHP exception. JWT has failed because the PEM file doesn't start with the right bits and pieces. It's because we don't have a PEM file, because we haven't generated it yet. Okay, but it's still making, and we've got the right error coming back as JSON there, and it's what's the response code? 500. That's fine. Good. Okay, so that is as expected. So the next thing I need to do is I need to generate a private and public key and sign it. And I believe this will live in, not in this one, in auth service. It will live in Apache 2 config JWT. Yeah, because you can see that there's a blank thing in here. Now, what I could do, of course, is I could just SSH into a box that has these keys and then grab them, but that's bad practice, so we're not going to do that. What we're going to do, though, is we are going to generate the auth keys, and I cannot remember for the life of me how that's done. So bear with me a minute whilst I have a noodle on Google and generate those. So JWT. There was a very good Symfony. Yeah, it's this bundle, isn't it? Very good documentation for this bundle. If we go to installation, That's the far. There we go. That's what I wanted to show you. So let's scroll up to here. Here we go. So this is the bundle that I'm using. This is the Lexix JWT authentication bundle, and these are the commands that I need to run to generate the private PEM and the public PEM, and then sign it. And these go up into these bits which are already configured. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's jump onto here, and we probably need to run it from this bus machine. I'm going to freak everyone out now by having another window. Actually, let's just do it in, yeah, we can just do it there. That's fine. So let's go into System Services, and it's auth service. Okay. So I need to put it into the Apache 2, silly me, CD Apache 2, and I believe it's in config. Yep. Cool. I need to put it in JWT. Excellent. So I need to put it in there. Okay, so the command to do this then, if I drag this out just a wee bit so I've got some room to play with, is this up here. Open SSL. Now, I'm thinking now how to do this on AWS. How to do this on the fly, because I'm going to need to sign it. So I'm going to need to pass in something. So I might have to create a bash script to do all this stuff. We'll get to there, and we'll get there in the end at that point. So anyway, I'm going to create a new key. I'm going to put in a passphrase. There we go. And then we're going to generate the public key. Which is running off of the current private key. And we're going to generate the output is the public. And we're going to put in the passphrase again. So somehow on AWS, I need to pass these passphrases over. Or if we did an LS now, we should see that we have the private and public. Or what I could do is I could copy these up. I could do the JWTs, do the signing, and then just copy them up. That would be easier. That would be easier, but it would be less secure, because if I was to do it, if I was to generate them on the fly, then they'll be different every time. Interesting. Let's come to that in a minute. So, okay, so that's done. Let's just tear that down. Let's bring this down a little bit so we can see. So this again, just to remind you, this is the, or remind me, this is the output. This is the tailing the logs for the auth service. This is tailing the logs for the gateway. So what I like doing is a bit silly of me, but what I like doing is just putting in some space for each attempt, and then we can go over to here, and then we can run this command again, or this run this request, and we can see that various things are happening, and we have a 200 OK. Woohoo! This is our key. Woohoo! This is our JWT key. Great. Excellent. And now let's see if we can decode this thing. So another thing I did last night was in JWT decode, it's not great. It's not great, but you put in the key here. I also need, because I haven't wired this up yet, I also need to put in the headers. I need to tidy this up. I need to get it so it's actually pulling these through, but I need to put that in. Okay, let's hit send. So this is now going to decode that token. Or at least try. I've broken it.
Hello, coders.
I've broken it. Hello, Danny Boomberg. What an awesome username. Thank you very much for following. Cheers. Yeah, I've gone and broken that. That should have worked. Let's have a look. So it's come out as a 500 server error. All right, it's hit a 500. So let's take a look. Somewhere in here, I should really grep this, to be honest, because it's a bit of log soup. This there should be a critical in here somewhere. Error, user deprecated. No, that's deprecation. And this is why I like putting the spaces in, because I can see blank space. Hands up, who has ever created code and they've put in lots of space between code blocks? You don't need to do that, but I do that in logs. So it's when I'm tailing the logs. Okay, so what's this about? This is another deprecated warning. Fine. Yawn, deprecation. Templating, another deprecation here. More deprecation. Come on, somewhere there is a critical error. Error, exception, user. No. Okay, so then this is matching the decode. Okay. This is going to check the OAuth bits and pieces. Fine. Scroll. I mean, obviously, eventually, this will not require OAuth for this particular mechanism. But just for now. Here we go. Critical, unquote exception. So it's an invalid JWT. The JWT must have 2 dots. Really? Okay. The JWT is invalid. So maybe I copied it across wrong. If we go to here, we're saying that this is invalid. And yet this was the code that I had here. So let's copy that across. How bizarre. I mean, I was doing this late last night. I should really get this to, with Postman, you can get it to actually populate these variables. Still saying there's an error, mind. The JWT must have 2 dots. I've never seen that before. That's new on me. That's new on me. I'm going to put the music back on in a minute. I think. Where is... That's another 500. That's just deprecation warnings. I need to tidy all of this. Here we go. Invalid JWT. The JWT string must have 2 dots. 2 dots. What? What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Let's generate another one. That doesn't mean anything to me. I'm going to generate another one. All right. And I'm going to double check that when we go to decode here, I'm going to double check that there isn't a quotes either end. All right, let's send this across. Let's decode this. I should really make some space. Still an error. So generate was okay, but we can't decode it. This is bizarre. It's still saying an invalid JWT at. I swear this was working. Yeah, last night. Although last night was a bit of a hazy evening. How weird. Let me just put some music on, and whilst I think about this. There we go. Elevator music. Try and escape the characters. Tequila. Tequila One Love. That's an amazing username. Tequila One Love is saying, try to escape the characters. Yeah, it could be that, couldn't it? Let me see. There's probably some in here that needs to be... Although it does... Let's generate a new... Let's start from the scratch, right? Start again. Let's generate the Airwolf token. All right. Let's go to JWT generate. Let's put that in here. All right. Now let's send it. And then it was to copy this and then put it into the decode, which is the body. Is it? Yeah. And then also I need to change the key, which is something that we won't do eventually. We only need to do the Airwolf once. So then hit send. Yeah. All right. So something isn't quite right. The JWT must have 2 dots. I'm going to just look that up. So try decode and pass this to this. So it looks decoded, but not a valid JWT. Bearer token, the JWT must have. So even though this is Laravel, I think it's probably using similar things under the hood. Just people saying same here, same here. Use refresh token instead of access token. That was my mistake. We're not doing that, I don't think. If you send authorization header when it's not needed, it will fail. But I'm pretty sure if we went into the actual code, SRC controllers, and it was JWT controller. So we have, this is the generate to generate the JWT. So it's just creating that. Okay, and then putting it in, the token, and then this is decoding. So we are getting the authorization. I found it. It's a token header. It's a header. That's why. Yes. Okay, so it's a header issue. I found it. Let me just double check on this machine. Bear with me, Mo. Probably haven't saved this damn postman request. Oh, you swine. You swine. It's not the body. It's the damn header. All right. This is what happens when you start coding late in the evening. And right, so it's not in the body, it's in the header. There we go. So we want to do header, and we don't have this. We don't have these. These aren't a thing. And we go over to the body. We grab this all of that and we put this in to the headers, there we go. And just to be 100% sure, I'm going to delete that. Okay. The reason being is that the token here is being... why is that not tabbed out right? Ugh. Yes, authorization header token extractor. It's extracting it from the headers with the name of token, not the body of this request. The header of this request. Right, fingers crossed, everybody. Let's hit send. Yay! There we go. Oh dear! Wow, that was long-winded and full of error, but we got there in the end. So this is a very basic JWT, which is decoded. All right. So we've got the username. We've also got the IP that I'm running against. This would be probably the IP of the Docker machine, the Docker container, to be honest. And then the roles of users. This now means that the other microservices can pass this around and verify everybody else. So I put in a link in the chat before about this article that I was reading about JWTs and OAuths and using them together. The idea here is that the OAuth will be authenticating users when they log in. This in the background will also create a JWT when needed, and that JWT will be sent and used across the microservices internally. So OAuth is used externally being public facing. You get your bearer token, and that bearer token then allows the microservices to generate a JWT. That JWT is then shared amongst the microservices. Ooh. Okay, so for my next trick, let's get this up onto AWS, shall we? Let's do that. Yay. Okay, so let's. This is the EC2 that we've got here. We've spanned this all up using Terraform and Ansible. So what I need to do is create our playbooks for the auth service and configure those. I'm going to have to play around and think about how on earth I'm going to deal with the private and public keys. The simplest thing I can think of is to put them in source control and encrypt them using Ansible Vault. I'm not a massive fan though. I would prefer it to be generated on the fly using the OpenSSL and then encrypt the signature. But I think just for purposes of staging, I think the first option was probably a good idea. Is my tea cold? That's the most important thing. Not yet. I'm going to drink a little bit more and then I'll go and get some more tea and then we'll work on AWS. How does that sound? Yeah. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is just write things to-do list. All right. So let's revert that back. Even though the code isn't nice, it's not formatted well, but let's not. I don't want to play around with source control too much today. Okay, let's get to the infrastructure. Here we go. Right, so this is the auth service. We need to put in some JWTs, the public in there. Let me just grab that down. Have I encrypted this? Have I been a good boy and encrypted my private key? Yes. Good. Good lad. Okay. And then, but we'll regenerate those, right? We'll regenerate those and then encrypt them. I think that's probably a good set to do. I need the public one in there anyway. In the playbook for the auth service, we first do a git clone, so we clone it down from Bitbucket. So we're using the develop branch, which means that I need to merge this into the develop branch before I do this. And then we have the destination key. That's fine. So this is all good. This is usual stuff. This is just cloning down that. Then after that, we do a configure. So this is configuring, pulling down the .env file, which is this one here. And then at this point, we'll also push over the private and public keys as well, which will be encrypted. So I'll do that. I'll encrypt those. And then using the Ansible vault. And then after that, what happens? We run docker run. So this is using Docker Compose. And then down here we do Docker Composer, which is running the Composer functions, and then doing the DB update script. Right, so this script is going to return the client ID and the client secret of OAuth, which means that, and I'm not going to be able to see this because this isn't actually put through to the Ansible doesn't report this back. So I'm going to have to SSH onto the AWS box, go into the Docker Compose, go into the Docker container, go into MySQL and have a look at those and then pull those down. That's fine, I can do that. No problem there. And then we're going to, sign the JWT. That's what we're going to do. Hey, Op Davis, thank you for joining. Thank you very much. It's been a while since you've caught me live streaming. Well, thank you very much. I do appreciate you coming on board. Today we're going to be breaking stuff and some infrastructure. I've got some infrastructure to play with. We're using Ansible and Terraform to spin up some microservices in AWS. And I'm going to be putting the auth service together. We've got this running locally, so I have the ability to run Postman requests to get an OAuth token and a JWT token, decrypt and encrypt those, which is great. So we're going to put this onto the AWS EC2 instance. Hopefully we haven't span out of memory. I am using a T. If we go to the main here, we are using a. What are we using? It's in inputs. Yes, a T2 micro. And I've had to add a swap file to it. So in the main.tf here, just because I was running out of memory. So I'm hoping that we've got enough to do all this kit. If not, then I will have to probably tear something down and in replacement. But the most important thing I need is another cup of tea. So I'm going to grab a cup of tea, and I will be back very, very shortly, and we'll be spinning all of this stuff up on AWS. So please bear with me a couple of minutes, yeah? And I'll just boil the kettle. Speak to you in a bow. Bye. That screen on and cool. Ugh. Whilst the kettle boils, who wants to see Murphy? Let's. Oh, he was in the room. He was in the room. Bear with me a minute. The kettle is boiling. We're just going to go to this view. I'm just going to get the dog. Murphy. Murphy. Come on, buddy. Here he is. So Murphy, how are you getting on with the quarantine, buddy? Right, I think I've heard the kettle boil, so I will be back very, very shortly. Third cup of the tea of the day. Where's the buttons gone? Third cup of tea of the day. Where's the music gone? Have I not? There we go. Sorry about that. A third cup of tea of the day. Good. Okay, so AWS, let's break it. Yeah, I think that's the third one I've had. Yeah. What's the benefit of Terraform compared to provisioning servers directly with using Ansible? EC2 instance module. Out Davis has asked. So the next things that come out of my mouth, I'm going to caveat with, I only know enough to get me to this point. So I haven't been using Ansible and Terraform for more than a month. All right. So there's probably other ways to do all this stuff, and then there's probably better ways to do all this. I just haven't learned it yet. The way I define Ansible and Terraform, the definition I have is that Terraform is an orchestration tool, whereas Ansible is more of Op Davis is on his second cup. Is it cup of coffee or cup of tea? Terraform is Terraform is the orchestration, and Ansible is the configuration. So infrastructure as code. And I see this like an orchestra. So you have the conductor, that is Terraform. That is conducting the orchestra. The Ansible is configuration, the playbooks. I see those more like the string section, the violins, the actual musicians. That's how I've got the distinction. I haven't used Ansible's EC2 instance module, so it might be brilliant, but I haven't used it. So the way I've dealt with this is that Terraform deals with the hardware essentially, and Ansible handles the software. That's the cutoff I've got. But it might not be to everybody's cup of tea. Talking about tea. But that's the way I've played it. So with main, if I was to uncomment this here, which is this provisioner, this will actually run Ansible directly from Terraform. I've commented it out because I want to be doing this manually myself for the time being. But essentially, I could just run the script that will run Terraform, run Ansible from Terraform if I wanted to. Cool. All right. So we're going to be now spinning up the AWS stuff, aren't we? Okay. So I'm on the EC2 box at the moment. We need to have another service up here, which is the auth service. Yeah, I appreciate that. Ansible is extremely powerful. Okay, so just thinking, what do I need to do now? So we need to bring up. The thing I really like about Terraform is the way it's laid out. So it's very readable. So this is Terraform. So this is a resource, which is the EC2 instance, AWS instance. And then these are the properties that you set. And then this is like some security groups. And then this is the inline provisioner. So this is doing the swap bits and pieces, and then setting up the connections. And then down here, setting up the IPs and the elastic IPs and so forth. I find it very easy to read. Whereas Ansible, I'm not a massive fan of YAML. I just personally, it grates on me. I was a massive fan when Symfony decided to use more annotations, or more frameworks, not just Symfony. More frameworks started to use annotations rather than YAML for things like routing and other bits and pieces, configuration. I just find it very difficult to read, and very lengthy. It's extremely lengthy. But it's okay for things like software configuration, I think. But just check out this thing here. This is installing Docker, right? So this is what, 63 lines? I mean, it's also installing AWS as well, but whatever. So it's I just find it very, very lengthy. It's also doing this nice little fancy trick here, which is installing or creating the Docker network, which is how to code well if it doesn't exist. And if it does, it's just going to put it to dev null and then continue its merry day. So anyway, all right. I'm digressing. Let's go to the auth service. The first thing I need to do, obviously, is go into the provisioner or provision, and I need to put in a service. So people might be looking at this and going, "What on earth are you doing?" But this is how I've learned. If there's a better way of doing this, then please let me know. I've basically grouped these playbooks together as a service, and I'm using every playbook is a specific thing. So like a git clone, a configure, a docker compose. So this here is going to be auth, I think, auth service. I mean, I could probably do all of this in one single playbook. I could probably do that. Okay, so git clone is going to run this one here. So this is going to do auth service. Ensure apps directory exists. Okay, that's going to bug me. And then it's going to pull that from the Bitbucket, get the branch. Okay, that reminds me I need to go into the auth service project itself and merge this to the develop branch. So first of all, let's make sure that this is all being pushed up. I think it has. Yep. All right, let's go to develop. Let's do a git pull. And then let's do a git merge. Of app utils into here. And then push this up. All right, so it's now running the right thing. Because in this project, too many files, too many windows, too many things open. It's going to be running off of branch here, which branch is set in the develop. All right, so it's now going to do so it's done a git clone, fine. Okay, now it's going to configure this. So it's going to go up here. It's going to put in the .env file, and we're also going to configure the JWT public and private keys. So let's take a look at how we can do that. Let's come off of this. We want to go into this tab. Let's just remove that for now. Let's just come out of this one. Come out of the box here. Let's do an ls. Okay. So we need to have ls-al. We need to put in the .env file, which is wherever that's gone, this one here. And we also need to put in the JWT public and private bits and pieces. So, right. This needs to go to infrastructure, right? So we do a CP. Well, first of all, let's just go into not system, infrastructure. Let's go into it's not keys, not playbook, it's services. Let's do an ls Okay, so auth service, cd into auth service, ls on that, ls-al. I'm sure there's a .env. Yeah, I'm going to just remove that .env. We're just going to remove that. And we're also going to do a rm minus rv of jwt. And we're going to start from a clean slate. So we're going to do a cp of, we're going to copy over the .env file. So this would be code, not this, auth service .env to here, and we're also going to copy the public and private keys, and then I'll encrypt them, and then I'll push them up. All right, so it is auth service config. No, it's not. It's Apache config jwt. Right, so I'm just going to copy jwt. All of those to here. Let's do an ls. So we've got the private and the pub. ls-al and the .env file. Let's move the private and the pub into jwt just to yeah, that's fine. Good. Okay, so that's now set up. So what we could do now, because obviously these are in clear text, right? What we're going to do is we're going to encrypt these. We'll encrypt the .env file first. All right, so that's it. This, and I'm just going to remember on the other machine what the command is for that. It's Ansible vault encrypt, I'm sure, but I just want to double check. Yeah, it is. Because obviously what I can do is if I go over to here and show you on the services that we've just put through, the .env file is obviously in clear text, right? We don't want that to happen. I do need to change this though. This needs to be staging, I think. Give me a second. Let me just double check something else. Yeah, get the right address. Looking good. Okay. So yeah, obviously, so I've just put in trusted hosts, this address here. So obviously this is in clear text, right? So do not define production secrets in this file nor in any other committed files, right? Fine. Now this is staging, so it's not like, you know, I'm not, it's not crazily sensitive. However, you should get into the mindset of you know, what would you do in production type thing at this stage. So what I'm going to do is encrypt this using Ansible Vault. And we do this using like this. So it's Ansible Vault. Please tell me I've got it on my path. Yep. And then it's encrypt. If I can spell, can I spell encrypt? No, I can't. E-N-C-R-Y. Oh, dyslexia. I love you. C YPT. There we go. Encrypt. And then it's the file that you want to encrypt. So in this case, it's .env. Why can I not pick that up? env. Okay. All right. Let's just run it. So it's now asking me for the vault password. Now, as long as this password is the same as the password defined in the vault password file, then it should be fine when it decrypts. So now if we open this up, you can see it's in a complete random mess, which means that I have the ability now, I'm comfortable that I can commit this .env file and the secrets and stuff up to source control. And then to decode it, you would run decode, I think, and then to view it, you would run Ansible Vault View, and it would ask you for the password. Anyway, we need to do JWT JWT, and it is unfortunately for some reason I can't tab across. So it's JWT private and public .pem files. .pem, and yeah, okay, so we're going to encrypt that. Okay, and then we'll encrypt the public job. Can't spell it. Wonderful. Okay, so now I should be able to load one of the, show you a private key which is encrypted. Check that out. All right, cool. Okay, and that's the public key that's encrypted. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so in git clone, on here we're cloning that, then we're doing configure. Okay, so in configure, I need to copy. I'm going to do a find and replace and just put a space in and a capital on these things. That's bugging me. We need to copy the JWT. I'm not sure if we can copy the whole thing. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm going to do it individually. Sod it. I'm going to do it individually. So JWT private.pem. Now this needs to go into. I should be able to see it. The actual directory. We bring that down here. That needs to go into config JWT public. Config. Let me see where that lives. Config. What is the kernel project directory? It should go into Apache 2 JWT, Apache 2 config JWT, but looking at this, that's not the case. Because you have the environment variables, JWT secret and JWT public key, as well as the passphrase. But that doesn't appear to be going into there. Huh. I'm gonna just have a look. I'm interested now. I'm gonna have a look on the local docker compose.ps. I'm gonna have a look at the local. I'm in the wrong directory. No, that key. Yeah, I'm going to have a look at the box, the auth service, because I can't remember. So it's always good to go to the source, I suppose. Docker compose, exec auth bash, right? ls of config. No, it's not in there. And yet it's in there. Oops, sorry, JWT. There we go. Okay, fine. We'll just do that. All right. All right, so this is the private PEM. This is going to go into the apps auth service, and this is going to be in Apache 2. And then it's Apache 2 config JWT, and we're putting this in as private. Now, I would probably do this quite differently on production, I think, because I would probably do this so it's generating these things on the fly. So every time I do a deployment, it's a new one. Although that could have some issues, because that will essentially log everyone out. Yeah, no, that's not a good idea, is it? I need to think about this a lot, I think, in the coming few weeks as to how best to do this, like on production. On staging, it's okay, you can just sort of throw things at it and see what sticks. But on production, I need to think about this carefully in terms of like having... redeploying these things whilst not affecting certain users. So services, this is public now. So this is copy private key and copy public key. Okay, so copy environment variables, that's fine. Okay, so that's that done. And then once it's configured, it will then run, I hope, if we go back to the provisioner, it will then run docker compose run, which is this one here, which will go into the auth service and then run docker compose up -d. Fine. Good. And then it should run this one. If I go back to the provisioner, let's see. Yes, so this is actually running composer. I've called it docker _composer because it's running composer in Docker. I don't like that. I think I should just call it composer, to be honest. But we'll go with this for the time being. Okay, so auth service, install PHP, composer packages, fine. So this goes into here. This is wrong. Have I? Yeah, this is wrong. This should be auth API. And then, so that's fine. Auth service again. So this is now populating the database. Again, this needs to be in auth API, running this. Okay. All right. So it's tagged with auth service. So I should be able to, let's just make sure that everything else is tagged with auth service. Yes, and yes. We'll tag that as well. All right, so it's tagged with auth service, which means that I can just focus on these playbooks. All right, here we go. Let's go to the provision.yaml. So that's in there. Good. Okay. Have a slurp of tea before this happens. If this works, we should see on AWS here, if we did Docker PS, we should see that we have the auth service in the containers on here. And then hopefully we should be able to do a Postman request to it. Hopefully. This might be a big ask here. So we need to go back into the infrastructure. Whoops. And we need to run playbook. but we're going to, so that's fine. Ansible playbook, passing in the vault file, that's good. But we need to do tags, and I cannot remember. Was it auth service or just auth? Let's have a look. It was auth service. There we go. There we go. All right. Okay, here we go. So ensuring the apps directory exists. So this is running the first one. Okay, it's now doing the auth. Why is it saying clone gateway? This is, unless I've called this copying environment, auth service clone gateway. Have I just labeled this wrong? Git clone. Yeah, clone gateway. This should be clone auth service. Silly me. Right, okay, so copying the environment variable, copying over the private key, copying over the public key, running the Docker containers, installing the Docker component packages. No worries, yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything to do today, so well, apart from this. So, take care. Thank you very much for joining up, Davis. And it's running. As in, there's no error. So, let's do Docker PS. This is proper, like, mental DevOps going on here. We have the auth service. It is running. 55 seconds, apparently. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. We have the auth service running. Woohoo! Now, I think I need to... I'm not sure if I need to rebuild the gateway for this. I don't... let me see. We're on the box. We'll do an ls. We'll go into apps. Go into gateway. I just want to make sure that if we did docker compose exec of gateway going in as bash, I just want to make sure that it's configured properly with the allowing the auth to be passed through. So this would be in etc, this would be in nginx, I think, and it would be probably in the .conf file. So we'll cat that. So .nginx.conf. So that's the front end upstream. This is our HT password file. And no, it's not. This should have a auth.conf file above, so it's not configured properly. I need to sort that out. So give me a second whilst I do that. So let's come out of this. Okay. So in the gateway, in the gateway. So we have the auth.conf there, but because we were running on staging, I've now changed it to be running staging.conf, which is what we were seeing on the box. And I need to add auth.conf to here, much like we've done on dev. So on dev, which is this one here, we have auth.conf like so. So I need to copy this and I need to put it into staging. Like this. Let's hit save. Now, duplication going on like nobody's business here. I do appreciate that. Let's do a git commit of this and say, so adding auth service. Let's do a git repository push. Then let's run the Ansible script, not here, but just doing it for the tag of gateway. Now this is really, really good because this means that I can I can really pinpoint, you know, which playbooks I'm actually running on the box. So this is just targeting the gateway. Now, obviously, it's going to do the clone. It should do the update as well. If I've set update to true, let me just have a look. Yikes. Gateway. Gateway. No, sorry, it's in infrastructure. Wrong project. In gateway, that's services, gateway configure. Clone, sorry, here. State owner, update, yes. Okay, good. So this should update it. Okay, so we should be able to, again, go back to the box here and then have a look around. So we should be able to, if I can go up on my, can I not find that on the, there we go, on bash. Okay, so the history is gone, which is good because it's obviously restarted the containers, which is what I wanted. So it's cd into etc, and it is nginx, isn't it? So I'm just, I know we've just pushed the auth and I haven't played with it yet. I just want to make sure that everything is lined up, all the T's are dotted and the I's are crossed, you know. Cat the nginx.conf. Okay, so we now have the auth. Wonderful news. Excellent. Okay, good. All right, let's see if we can make a postman request to this. Now, I haven't done. Now, I must say I haven't done this for about a week. All right, so this could break. Ideally, what I would do is just change this to staging. Let's see if we can run another. I'm going to get rid of a bunch of these things. Don't save, just so we've got something fresh to play with. Discard changes in this tab. Come out of all of this. I just want to. That was when I was playing around with the Docker registry. And we'll save that, and we'll save this. All right. Okay, so we've now got a nice clean slate to play with. Let's see if we can run the course API, shall we? Because I kind of hope that this is running. So let's hit send. Running off of staging. So this should hopefully pull down all of the... No, and it's failed. Okay, so API staging, how to code well... off of that port. So is it a problem with the port? It could be that. If we come out of this and we did docker ps -a, I've probably changed the ports around. So it will be, we will be running against the gateway, which is here, and we're running off of port 80. So we don't have a port supplied here. So let's change that. So on dev, and then it's this one here. So let's remove that port from there and that port from here. Is this staging? Yes, it's staging. Are you asking for .local? You are, so that's wrong. That needs to be... So you can see I haven't done this in ages. This should be .net, because this is actually running against the staging site, .net. .net. I've configured I should have hopefully configured the DNS to allow for this. Now click update. Now click send. And it's probably going to ask me for authorization because I have auth on here. But we'll see. What I should be doing, of course, is I should be tailing the logs. That's what I should be doing. So docker compose logs -f of gateway. Oh. -f. Since when was f G? Okay, so there's a few issues here. So images needs to be set up and is sending at request gateway. It's still sending. No such file or directory configured. Client is there. So let's just see what happens. Come on. I guess I could do a curl request, of course. This doesn't seem to... This doesn't look like it's doing anything, does it? So this would be the curl request. Let's see if we can do that from our local box. And can we, is there a way in curl to use verbose so we can actually see what's going on? That would be handy. V version verbose, make operation more talkative. Let's see if we can do that. So that's the location. This is the request, which is get. And then this is hyphen, is it uppercase V or lowercase v? Lowercase v. Okay, could not resolve get. Oh, sorry, that shouldn't be there, should it? It should be here, right? Hyphen V. There we go. Okay, so we're trying to connect to here. TCP, no delay. Okay, whatever. It's just saying that there's unnecessary bits and pieces. I'm wondering if this is locked down by the security groups of AWS. Probably is. Because I can't see anything on the logs, right? So nothing's coming out on the logs. And in fact, if I think about this isn't going to work at all, is it? Because what's happening, of course, is that port 80 is being used by the front end. Let me just make sure that's still up. If we go to staging, yeah, so the front end's still going across. Page data page. Okay, so that's you can just see that coming through now. So if I was to do a request for this, there we go. Okay, the thing is, so that's the username that I'm logged in as. So the thing is, the curl request is not doing connection closed. Operation timed out. Okay, give me a second. I've got a horrible feeling that the DNS isn't configured. Bear with me, Mo. Just logging into various things on another machine. Yeah, the DNS, the IPs, the A records aren't set. Yay. Right. Okay, I doubt that's going to be a quick change. Let's just see if we can run this. I doubt that's going to suddenly come up. Technically, we should be able to get to this point anyway and run the front end, but I doubt that's going to happen. check the logs. Come on. Can somebody give me log files, please? I need I've put the right thing in. API staging.howtocodewell.net courses, and then courses. That's the request coming through. It might be a case that the DNS. Well, I'm being impatient, aren't I? DNS changes aren't that quick. Yeah, that's a timeout. Pants. All right. Oh, this is a bit annoying, isn't it? I have changed the DNS records, right? So, and it is going to the right IP address, 52.22.10.95.31. Yeah. So, yeah, that's all set. So it's probably just a case of it just needing time to just update itself. This is very frustrating. I should have checked this beforehand. I just checked that the first IP was correct. I didn't check both of them. So the front end staging.howtocodewell is working. I didn't check that the actual API was running. And of course, if we go to the thing that differentiates, can't say it, the two is this thing here. So it's going to be listening on port 80 with the server name of API staging, right? And then listening on port 80 with a server name of staging.howtocodewell. If you ever want to know how to do sort of like shared hosting, there you go. Obviously, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but it should. I mean, this should go off to the various different configs based on. So if we do config here, it should see that, /auth runs the auth API and courses runs the courses API, right? But because it's taking so long to change, yeah, I'm not seeing anything. I mean, I guess what I could just do is hammer it, but that's not really going to help the situation. Another thing I suppose I could do is change the front end. So the front end is now the API, but I think that's just going to get too complicated. I'm getting really impatient. I guess what I could do also is run it off of a different port. Yeah, I might try that. So let's do. So on the gateway here, where we have the port, so it's running off of port 8080. For now, I guess what I could do is pick one of these. So let's do 8081. I mean, really, these APIs are not going to be touched, or some of them anyway, externally. I'm only doing this to test. So staging, let's put in 8081 here. And then in the, where would it be? It would be in the staging.conf on here. It would be 8081 that we listen to. 8081, 81, there we go. So it would listen to 8081 running off of this, and then it would be anything from there would be put down. All right, so let's see if we can. Yes, this isn't working. Yeah, failed to connect again. Operation timed out. So we're going to commit these changes. So changing. API port. All right, let's run this up. Let's run the playbook again to rebuild this. We're on the infrastructure, that's fine. Let's do a reverse search of play. Passing in the gateway, yep, that's good. Now I know that there is there's authentication, isn't there, on the gateway, like basic auth, but I think that's just for it's just for the this here. So the APIs would be wide open at the moment, which is okay at this present second. So that's now being played, which means that if we went to Postman and went into here and we did staging and we changed this to be port 80, it was 8081, wasn't it? 8081. And the initial one is here. I always do the current value first and then the initial value. I can never remember which one I need to do, so I do them both. Right, let's update and let's send and let's have a look. See if that has actually damn. Logs. Of course, because I rebuilt the container, so I would be logged out of it. There we go. So yeah, nothing yet. It's still spinning about. And the curl, whoops, would be not that one, this one. Port 8081. Why is it trying 525024? That's a completely different IP address. Huh. That's a totally different IP address. The IP address is wrong. Why? $52.50. What? That's not right. 52.50, yeah. That's very strange. It should be I mean, this isn't going to work because the IP is doing by server name rather than IP, but it should be 52 dot 210 dot 95 dot 31. There we go. Now this is going to come up with a Nginx not found jobby, but it's a 404 because that page doesn't exist. Why though? Why on earth is this coming up as the wrong 525024 on port 8080? Why is that? There must be a DNS issue. Is there a way I can flush this? There must be a way of doing that. Or do I just have to? Am I at the mercy of? I think I am at the mercy of the DNS taking ages. How annoying. How annoying. That's wrong. That's wrong. It should be this. How can I get around this? Just for today, how can I get around it? Oops, sorry, bang the thing. I could directly go against the API. I could directly go change the gateway so we're not using the server name, we're using the IP address, or I could look at say port 80 is for the front end and port 8081 is but then I would need to have to change the trusted hosts. So many things. Yeah, that doesn't work. Right, so a few things I could do. I could change this to be that and running it directly off of 8081. All right, I could do that. It would mean having to change all the trusted hosts. To be honest, my trusted host should be asterisk anyway, .howtocodewell.net. Okay, let's try it. This is something that I didn't want to do today, but let's try it. I've kind of got no choice. Changing API server name. This is painful. Painful. What's the betting? I do this, I get it to work, and then the time it's taken me to set this up, the DNS has changed. All right, so port 8081 is running off of this now. So let's run the playbook again. Yep. I just want to make an API request. That's all I want to do. That's all I want to do. All right. So this is no longer going to be called API staging. This is just going to be called staging. Running against port 8081. All right. So we're going to hit update and we're going to come out of that. That's fine. And then hit send. Fingers crossed, everybody. We have the authorization required. Boom. Okay, good. All right, we're getting somewhere. If I was to go to which tab is it? This one. If we looked at the logs, obviously I've had to refresh the browser, so yeah, all of that changed. So this is a 401 now. The 401 is because the now let's think about this a minute. So this is now 8081 coming off of here. So it's not complaining, it shouldn't be complaining about this, right? If we had a look at this, we just have the authorization required. What I am a little bit unsure about is why on earth is this not in JSON? It should be picking up errors, and it should be coming from here, and the errors should be seeing that this is a 401, and the 401 I haven't defined the 401. Let's do that now. All right, so that should be 401. Oh, silly me. So this should be a 401. And this is code 401. So this is forcing this to be JSON. So this is access denied. Or it's not access denied, it's authorization required. All right. Let's commit this, push it up, and then run the gateway again. So this is adding one JSON response. So if this works, then we should see this back as JSON push. But of course, I'm a little bit dubious as to is this an error because where am I? Is this an error because we are in here and the courses require a authorization, or is it because we've somehow fallen into here and we need to put in the basic auth? Yeah. All right. So I'm going to do a gateway push. Did I push that up to develop? I forget. Yeah, I did. All right. So this is going to run the containers, which means that I'm obviously going to be logged out of here. So I'll bring that up again. All right. So then we're going to make a request on this. Aha. Right. Yes. So for some reason, it's not adhering to the fact that we're running off of port 8081. Okay, so let's see if we can do a curl. All right, so this is connecting to the box on port 8081. However, for some reason, it's requiring that. That's confusing. Unless I've told it to... Oh, I see what I've done wrong. Oh, God. I'm mapping the port 8081 to port 80, so it's always going to be port 80. What a moron. Oh, wow. There we go. Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on. It should be running this one, right? Yes, I'm still doing it. 8081. There we go. Oh, I can't believe I did that. That is such a stupid mistake. That is such a stupid mistake. I can't believe that happened. I'll change this one too, because that's wrong. Dear, oh dear. So basically what was happening is it was going into the Docker container as 8081, but it was actually going to the gateway as port 80. so it wouldn't even go into this. Silly me. All right, let's do a git commit fixing ports. Yay. Push this. And then do the same thing we've always done, and that is to run the playbook. Wow. We'll get to the JWTs and the OAuth stuff soon, I'm sure. I hope. I'm just having problems configuring Nginx at the moment. Okay. What's the betting that DNS change has just done now? And let's hit send on this. Okay, we have an internal server error. Something has broken. This is interesting. This is new. What's going on? Does this mean now that this is running against the e-learning API? Let's check that out. Me trying to bypass Docker Compose. It would be course API as bash tail -f var log devlog. Anything in here? No. No. Huh. All right. Let's try another API. Let's try the auth API. Sod it. Let's see if I can get this to do something. Come back with some sort of message. So this would have. This is coming back from the auth API, the auth service, off of staging. All right. Let's have a look at that. Exit that and do an ls, and then come out of this, and it's auth service, do an ls, and then do a docker. We'll go right into the box, I think. So auth API, and it is bash, and we obviously need to run exec, right? There we go. And then tail minus F var log devlog. Woohoo! All right, so this is now the devlog on the AWS EC2 instance that we've just span up with the new one, which is the auth. I don't know what was going on with the course one. We'll leave that for now. This is because primarily this is what I want to set up today. Okay, so let's see what the errors are. So we've got a bunch of deprecated notices. It doesn't appear to be a critical error. That's deprecated, 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 deprecated. Another one there. There. There's no... Alright. Let's give some room, and then let's just run this. Maybe I'm not seeing all of them. Here we go. Error, uncaught exception, PHP error on HTTP kernel, untrusted host. Yes, I thought that was going to be the case because it's staging. Okay. Now the problem with this, of course, is because I've gone and encrypted and decrypted, encrypted the .env file of this. There needs to be a little bit of legroom, a little bit of jiggery pokery. So I think what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to just make a curl request to this, because if I can get away with not playing around with the hosts, I'm going to do that, all right? So let's go over to here, and then let's just do a curl. And it's staging, it's API staging. Now that should hopefully... That is the right IP. Is that the right IP? No, that's not the right IP. Ugh. So no, it hasn't. Okay, I can't get away from this. I'm gonna have to change the .env file. That's a shame. I would have thought it would have been done already. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do that, aren't I? Let's go to here, and it's this one that needs to change. Okay, so all right, so let's go to the infrastructure project, and then let's go to cd of services auth ls. Right, ls-al, there should be a .env file, yep. Ansible, Vault, and it is decrypt. And it is the .env file. Passing in the Vault password, which I can't type. Decryption successful, so now I should be able to load that up, which we can, which is great. So then let's get rid of API off of this. Let's hit save. Let's now encrypt it. Putting in the Vault password again. Which means that now has changed to all of this. Excellent work. Good, good, good. I mean, it wasn't that bad, was it? I'm just being lazy. So that's done. I'm happy with that. What we're going to do now is we're going to run the playbook, and we need to run the playbook against the auth service, don't we? Yes. So this is the tags of that. I could, if I wanted to, I could put in a comma, and then I could run more than one playbook if I wanted to, but we're just going to run auth hyphens. I think it's hyphen service. We'll get an error if it's not. No. Playbook provision. Oh, I'm in the... It helps if you're in the right project, of course. There we go. All right. Oh, I tell you what I haven't done. I haven't... No, that's fine. Whoops, let's not screw around with that. I was thinking I needed to commit this. I don't need to commit this. All right, off it goes. Okay. A proper DevOps stream today. Yep. And just to run through all the things that we are pushing up to staging. So the front end is running Gatsby, so that's a JavaScript job, right? We have probably 4 or 5 different microservices behind it. These are all PHP and Symfony. The auth one here that we're pushing up is Symfony, and it also has the ability for OAuth and JWT. That is what we're playing with today using Terraform and Ansible. Okay, so that's now being pushed up, and let's see if we can make a request. Invalid request, invalid grant type. Yes! So we are now making requests to the staging API directly from this machine. This is fantastic. This is brilliant stuff. All right, awesome. So invalid grant type. So what I mentioned like a while back, if anybody was listening a while back, I mentioned that the script, the DB update script, will also generate the client credentials, so the client secret and the client ID. It will print those out to the screen, but because we're using Ansible, I haven't learnt yet a way for Ansible to return a kind of message. There probably is a way of doing this, but I have no idea. So the way to get around this, of course, is to go into the box. Let's come out of here. Let's do Docker PS. The way to go about it is to actually just have a look at the database. Docker PS -a. The database is going to be... Which one are we looking at here? Auth Service API. That's the IP. That's the that's that though. That's the IP, API. We want the DB. If we did a cat of Docker compose.yaml, it would be called authDB. All right. So if we did Docker, and these are the credentials here, test and database name is authDB, and that would be running off of root. Okay, fine. Docker compose exec auth underscore db, and we're looking we want to run MySQL. SQL, come on. Minus U is root, and minus P. We will enter that. Minus H we'll put in as well, just because I want to... No, don't worry about that. There we go. And then the password is test. All right, cool. And then we do show databases. We should have a database called authDB. We do. So then let's do use DB. Gosh, come on. There we go. We've changed the database. So if we did show tables, we should have all the tables. Show tables. There we go. Okay, so we have the access token. So we should be able to see an access token in there. So select all from, not access token, sorry. We should see a client, all from client. There we go, see? So that was generated. So this is our, I think this is our random ID, which is our client ID, and then this would be the secret. Now, the way this works with FOSS-OAuth is that the ID you need to put in the ID underscore and then the client secret. All right, so we're going to copy this and we're going to go over to here, and we're going to put in, so in the headers, sorry, client ID, client secret, and grant type needs to be supplied. So in here, we're going to put in this. So it's client ID, and we're going to put this in. Whoops, sorry. But again, as I mentioned, this needs to be one underscore. That always gets me when I always forget to do that. So then we need to do the client secret. Which is this one. Oops, that one. Okay, now let's hit update. All right, so that's now in there. All good. Okay, so that should pass in the client ID. You can see they've gone orange now. So now we need the grant type. The grant type for this is password. You can see it there. All right. So we go over to here, click on there, click on, put another environment variable in called grant underscore type. And this is password. And this is password. Now, obviously, I'm not using any kind of SSL certificates or anything daft like that. I say daft, anything that you should be using. I haven't got that far yet. We will be definitely putting SSL on this, though, eventually. But let's just see if we can make a request now. So that's client ID, client secret, grant type. With the body, we're passing in the username and password. Now, we should, because we've done the deployment, and we've populated the database. We should have a user here. So let's do select all from user. Yes, we do. So we've got two, in fact. We've got Pete and we've got admin. Excellent stuff. All right, so let's hit send. We should now hopefully be able to have an access code. Woohoo! Yes, we do. Wonderful. And I should be tailing this actually from here to see if we come out of this. So exit this. Let's dive in as bash, and let's do a tail -f of var log dev log. All right, so we should, if I run this again, we should see, yeah, boom, 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 boom. And we should also see, if we come out of this, I'm getting really excited now. This is really, really good. If we come out of this and go into the gateway, we should see that the gateway has some logs. If we did docker ps hyphen, docker compose hyphen compose. And it was logs -f, right, to follow, and then its gateway. There we go. We can see all of these requests coming in, and they're all 200 OK. Marvelous. Great stuff. This is what I wanted to do with the API hyphen staging, but whatever. Whatever, Trevor. All right, so we're going to put the access code now into our environment variables. No, we're not in environment variables, sorry. We're going to make we're going to call generate. And generate requires this to be in here. So this will hopefully return, yes, a JWT. Wonderful, excellent. So this is, the JWT is working. Brilliant stuff. So let's copy that. And then let's go to decode, right? So this is decoding this value. Let's hit send. We should get the same thing back. Oh, okay, maybe not. Generate. Is it because I need the OAuth? Decode. Send. No, that's still wrong. The access token provided is invalid. I've put the access token in the wrong... I put the wrong thing in the wrong box. Story of my life. Decode, here we go. This is the JWT token, right? Get that on my clipboard. This is the JWT token. There we go. All right. This is the authorization header, which we won't have. We'll only have it. Basically, I'm going to remove the need for the OAuth at this point, because what I'm doing here is I'm replicating a microservice talking to another microservice. Okay, send that. There we go. Boom. Wonderful news. So essentially what I've done there is, in this stream, is I've created the auth service. I tested it locally, and then I pushed it up to AWS using the Ansible playbook. Built all the bits and pieces, and we have OAuth and we have JWT. Now, as I mentioned before, the way I'm going to split this up is that OAuth deals with the front end. So when you go over to where are we? Here, this is the staging website, which should still be up. Yeah. When you hit login, for instance, and you log in with some credentials, and you hit login like that, what I want to happen is that it creates an OAuth token. And that OAuth token, oops, sorry, I'm pressing buttons left, right, and center here. What that OAuth token comes back, that access token comes back like this, right? This gets stored on your in your cookies or what have you, or a session or whatever. This is the stuff that gets recorded and stored. I can go into, for instance, this thing here. If I go into cd auth and do a MySQL and use there, and then show or select all from access token, right? N. There we go. So that's the access token that was generated, right? This is the user ID, so 1. So as you can see, I've generated 2, right? Because I hit the postman twice. So this will be the token that you get, and you will pass that up in the headers for every request of the front end. So being the front end is like this, right? So you will post this up. The way in which the JWTs get involved is the fact that there'll be API requests that the Gatsby front end will make that will require additional microservices to come into play. Now, these additional microservices are going to be behind the API call that you actually make. All right, so you won't be making an API call directly to, say, the e-learning service or the order service or another service, whatever. You'll be making a request. The gateway will pick that up. It will forward that on to the right spot. Now, let's say, for example, you're listing out all of the courses that you've currently purchased, all the videos that you've watched. So that would probably be a request to the user API. The user API would then have to make a request to the course API to get the relevant courses that you've purchased or watched, and then send that back to there. So there'll be sort of inter-microservice communication. Now, the way in which I'm going to try and solve the authentication for that is through JWT. So the JWT will be handled for the microservices. So that's the internal authorization is JWT, which is what we've just done here. So I basically mimic this. So you've just logged in, you've got your access token. Okay, so then you click on My Courses or what have you. You supply the access token. That gets generated. The user API calls the auth API to then generate a JWT. That JWT is then sent as a header to the course API. The course API will have the ability to decode the JWT and verify. So this is doing more than decode, this is verification. That JWT to make sure that you are the person that you say you are. These these tokens are sort of one-time use. This will save me hopefully a lot of network traffic, because this means that every microservice can have its own level of authentication, authorizing the JWTs. What I could do with the public and private keys is I could store them in a central place that all microservices have access to verify the JWT. This means that I have complete granular control. If there was someone who I wanted to deauthorize, then I would do this from the OAuth point of view. So here I would just remove the record or change the expiry date, right? So that's what I would do at this point, which will obviously mean that they won't be able to generate the JWT, the initial JWT. If I wanted to deauthorize everybody, then I would change the signature, the public and private keys. Whoo! That's what I've had rattling in my head for the past couple of days. Ah, dear. I'm so glad that works. I'm going to tear everything down. So we're going to go over to here, and we're going to do Terraform destroy. So we're going to just do Terraform destroy, and this will destroy everything. So this is now coming up with all the resources that will be removed. There should be 13. Yep, let's do yes. So that's now destroying all the infrastructure. It's deleting the EC2 instances. It's deleting the security groups. It's just destroying everything. What I'm going to do is we're going to do a failover test. This is the last thing I'm going to do in this stream. And the failover test is to destroy everything, to bring it back up again, and make a request. If that works, then I'm going to be very happy, and I'm going to just chill out for the rest of the day. So we're going to destroy everything. I'll put some music on because this will take some time. And in the podcast I did last Friday, I was talking about, the way Terraform and Ansible forces you to test your configuration. So this is now destroyed. So I shouldn't be able to make any kind of requests to here. So if I was to refresh this page, this should just fall down. I shouldn't be able to make any requests to here, because this should just fall down because it doesn't exist anymore. So these are going to time out. So we'll wait for that to happen just to prove that there is nothing there. If we go over to this tab here, this should be locked up. Yep, because we're in a Docker container in a EC2 instance that doesn't exist. So I need to come out of that. So we'll wait for all of this just to fail. Excellent. Okay, so the site can't be reached and cannot get a response. Brilliant. Okay, so complete and utter clean slate. Let's now do Terraform apply. So this is now going to refresh the state of these things and hit yes. So this is just building the infrastructure. This isn't actually adding the code. Yeah, I mean, it seems to be pretty good, I think. I think the next stuff that I'll do after this, I want to get SSL on, definitely. I think that's something that really needs to happen sooner than later, because if I was to just do that at the last minute, then I'm sure I'll hit some configuration issues with SSL. The thing is that it's very nice to tear everything up and bring everything down and bring everything up, like, you know, a lot of times. But with things like Let's Encrypt and stuff like that, they have limits on the amount of times that you can request for signatures and stuff. So that might be an interesting hole to fall down. So whether or not I purchase a certificate for this, I don't know. I'm not going to have a self-signed cert. I want it to be proper cert. Which means that I might have to get a wildcard, I don't know. Because obviously it'll be staging dot how to code well, and then it'll be how to code well itself, unless I have another certificate for that. But I mean, I've certainly done Let's Encrypt on Docker before, so I know that I can do it. It's just whether or not it will play nice every time I tear something up and bring everything back up. You know, tear everything down and bring everything back up. I'm not too sure. I don't want to hit any kind of rate limits. But it's certainly, SSL is certainly something that I need to think about sooner than later. Because now I've got the ability to make requests. So I want to encrypt these requests. All right, so that's now built up. Okay, it's using the same elastic IP as before, and that's because that is one of the resources that I don't change. I mentioned earlier that it would be handled better with Route 53 on AWS, of course. But hello, Tetrapony. Tetrapony. Is that right? Tetrapony? Hello, thank you very much for following. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. We're playing with AWS, Terraform, Ansible, all of that. Okay, cool. Why the fudge do I need to be following to chat? Okay, cool. All right, so that's now built. All right, so we now have our EC2 bits and pieces. Nothing's on them. We need to do the playbook, of course. This is the thing that takes a bit of time. All right, so I hope you don't mind me blathering on whilst I get this to run. We're going to do all of them. All right, so we're going to do all of the microservices. So we'll on the tags here. We'll just remove the tags. So it's going to go through every single one. All right. Boom. So the playbooks are here, right? So it's going to run through all of this. Hey, Natsak. How's it going? Okay, let's have a look and see how this is doing. Excellent. Okay, so it's installing Docker, it's installing, setting up their Docker bits and pieces, running apt packages. Tetrapony is saying that they had a fun 20-hour shift at home deploying ASP. Wow, ASP, old school stuff. Web pages, web apps for a bit of fun. AWS is good, you know. I really do like AWS. With Terraform and Ansible, it gives me the ability to decouple myself from the actual infrastructure. So I'm, you know, not once have I actually gone into the AWS console today to configure anything. I'm doing it all through code, infrastructure as code. But it means that I can use different things like Linode or DigitalOcean or any other sort of host that allows Terraform and Ansible to work. So I've never actually used Azure. Is that the right? I don't even know if that's the right pronunciation. Azure. I don't know. Azure. I don't know. So, I've heard some good things, right? But I've never used them myself, nor have I ever used the Google Cloud. But again, I've heard some good things with it. So I'm a freelance developer, right? I'm a freelance developer out of work at the moment. I'm a freelance developer, and most of my clients use AWS. In fact, some of the stuff that I've worked on before has been migration from one to the other. You'll be surprised, though. There are a lot of people who get very offended if you mispronounce things. Like this part of the MySQL community who don't like you calling it MySQL, or they don't like it. No, it's the other way, isn't it? They don't like it if you call it MySQL. It has to be MySQL. I always get it wrong. What kind of Node.js stuff do you have, Tetrapony? Is it what kind of apps have you created? That sounds really interesting because you got it running on AWS. Nice. Stuck forever. Okay, so it's now doing the auth service, which is good, which means what it must have done the gateway by now. Yeah. Yeah, cool. 2 apps, a single 3-bin application. Nice. Fair enough. Fair enough. Enough said on that one, eh? Oh, I'm out of tea. That's a shame. I'm not sure if I need a 4th cup of tea just yet, though. Okay, so that's now populating the database, doing the e-learning stuff. This means, though, we should be able to SSH already to this box, and it means that we should be able to take a look at the Docker stuff for the I'll get my words out. The auth service. It's running the e-learning, so the auth service should have been built. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to just jump over to here. Let's make this terminal a little bit bigger so you can see. Let's bring it into view. And we're going to do an SSH, putting in my identity file into there. Okay, again, I need to remove the previous host entry. So SSH key gen -r, there we go, which should allow me now to do yes. This is being deployed in the Eurozone. EU. I think it's EU West 1 or 2, I forget. Okay, so we're now on the AWS box, and if we did docker ps-a, we now have these containers running. Obviously, there's going to be more coming through because we are in the process of deploying everything. But we have the auth service API. That's the main thing, right? That's what we want to play with today. There wasn't really any need for me to to deploy all the things. But it's always good sometimes just to shake the tree and see what falls out, you know. So I'm getting a little impatient again. Come on. Let's do Docker. First of all, let's do Docker CD into apps. So that would have been created, and then auth service, yes, and then auth, and then ls, sorry. There we go. Docker compose exec. I should EC, sorry, be able to get into the auth DB, running as MySQL as the user of root, passing in the password. Does this work? Yes. Excellent. Test. All right. So we should also have, if we use the auth DB database, excellent. If we do show tables, wonderful. If we did, okay, if we did select all, because I'm going to have to change the client ID and the client secret again. Select all from client. There we go. So that's our client ID and client secret. I don't really know. Python U2. What? Yeah, I like Python. Python's great. Python's good. I use Python quite a bit. I've taught quite a bit in Python. I have I've done a course for Pack Publishing on Python microservices, and a course for Pack Publishing for clean coding in Python. The links are in the channel bit below. Whatever you call it. I don't know what you call it in Twitch. I know in YouTube you just say it in the description below. But yeah. Python is good, but sucks, but is also good. But sucks. Okay. All right, let's copy that. All right, let's go into... So what I need to do is I need to go into here, right? And I need to change the client ID and client secrets for this, because this is all being regenerated, right? So it would be 1_, and that would be the client ID. So we're just going to copy that and put that over here, right? And then the client secrets would be this one here. Which is that one. And that one. Okay, let's hit update. All right, now technically I should be able to run this, right? I should be able to run this. Hey, I'm not gonna pronounce this correctly. I do apologize. Hey, Fulanal Snabel. Hi, I'm really sorry for mispronouncing your username there. But yeah, it's totally correct. It's true for all languages. Mad lads like me living in a C family in C#, C++, C land. Yeah, good. I mean, I've done I've done a fair amount of C. I've got something actually, which I can't remember whether I did it in C or C#. Bear with me, Mo. I'll show you. It was for the NHS. Let me find this. So let's go to my profile. Your repositories. There we go. So I have created, now this is, I did this for a coding test a long time ago. Like, so the code is probably really bad, but I do know that they're using it. Which is great. Like, it's so good that this is being used for good. It was the NHS. which is the National Health Service over here in the UK, number validator. And this was a coding test that I did for a company that I didn't get the job for. But when after the interview, after I totally screwed up the interview, I came home and I rebuilt the test myself. And the test was to come up with a way of validating the NHS number that you get, the unique number, using modulus 11, I think it was. Yeah, so it's using the calculation here. And I did this in both C# and PHP, just because I wanted to. So this is C# here. So you have your the validation. Yeah, it was fun to do. It's fun to do, and I know that it's being used, which is great, which is nice. And then I also did this in PHP because maybe I'll do this again in JavaScript just for fun. Essentially, what it does is it goes through multipliers and validates the NHS number using the algorithm here, which is using a check digit, which is the last digit, and then looping through, getting the right multipliers, then calculating the various bits and pieces, and on off it runs. I haven't touched this in years. So yeah. I'll put a link to this actually in the chat. That was a good little portion of time that wasn't waiting for the microservices to spin up. NHS, where's NHS? There you go. All right. Let's get back to it, shall we? So let's get to the up to here, right? So we are in here. We passed in the secret and the ID. I've put those into Postman, which is in here. They should have been changed. They look okay. And let's just keep an eye on the infrastructure that's being sped up. Yes, this is all running. So all of these are now built. So let's go and get back onto the box here. Let's come out of this. And then let's do docker ps-a. So these should be all the containers now. Yes. Which means that we should have, we should be able to get to this site. If we go to staging.howtocodewell.net, it should be there. Brilliant stuff. Thank you for letting me know. Not being so picky. Yeah, I definitely agree. All right. So that's up. So what I need to do now is I need to make a request to the token to see if we can get the token. We can. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so that worked. So let's go over to the JWT generate. Pass that in. This should generate me a JWT, which it does. And then I should be able to decode it. So we put that in the headers, don't we? And also, I definitely need to put that into the authorization, which is this. Now, obviously, you know, once this is up and running, we won't be doing auth and JWT together like this. In fact, the JWT, this is just replicating what the internal microservices will do. So let's hit send on this. There we go. Woohoo! Okay, that's brilliant. So I teared everything down, I span everything up, and I ran the test, and everything works fine. So I'm going to destroy everything and call it a day, because that is brilliant. So Terraform Destroy. I love it. So powerful. I'm sitting on a load of Scala. Oh, that's cool. These days, the young lads don't want to touch. It's all JavaScript in their heads. I've never played with that before. Never done any of that. One thing I would love to do, and if I ever got an opportunity to do it, I would love to do a YouTube video on it, is to do a little bit of Fortran, and actually use the proper old school. I'm not saying no. That's not the right word. I shouldn't say proper, because everything's proper. The old school way of doing code through punch cards. And you're assembly. Fair play to you. That's brilliant. Never touched it again, but that's insane. That's brilliant. Hats off. Excellent. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of programming languages that I would love to tackle and try. Yeah, those would be it. Don't do it. Yeah, I know, but just for fun, just to see what I can do. Anyway, I've been streaming since 7 in the morning, and it's nearly 11:30. So this has been quite a long stream, but I do appreciate everybody for following and joining. Thank you ever so much for coming on board. We'll be doing the coding school on Thursday evening. This is very beginner friendly, okay? Very, very beginner friendly. We're not dealing with any Ansible, certainly not dealing with a C or anything like that. Very, very beginner friendly, but it's welcome. You're totally welcome to join. And then on Sunday, we're going to be doing another stream a bit like this. All right. So it's, so this is the How to Code Well project that we're working through. We're building the new howtocodewell.net site eventually. But yeah, thank you ever so much for watching. Tonight, I'm recording a podcast, which will go out hopefully soon. And I have a guest on the show, which is the first one I've had in a while due to taking some time off. But that is the website, howtocodewell.fm, if you want to listen to the previous podcasts and see the various other guests on there. But for now, I will say goodbye. Thank you ever so much for watching. Happy coding, everybody. Have a great day. Take care and stay healthy. Bye-bye.